Hello everybody and welcome to another FIFA 19 career mode related video. This is going to be once again talking about 10 teams to use on FIFA 19 career mode, similar to the English one I did last week or 2 weeks ago. If you haven't seen that, be sure to check out the link in the description, it'll be the top line. And yeah, check that out either now and come back to this, or after this, whatever. Be sure to check it out. Without further ado, we're going to get into 10 teams, roughly 10 anyway, teams that you should use from the rest of the world on FIFA 19 career mode. And yeah, let's get into it. We're going to first start off with what is probably the most obvious one from the last week's events, and that is Juventus. Now obviously they've just signed Ronaldo, they've just signed the cover star of FIFA, and you got to think they're probably going to be looking towards him getting them as far into the Champions League as possible to actually try and win it. Obviously, Juventus have actually got quite far in the last 3 or 4 years. They got to a couple of finals, and sadly couldn't get that Champions League trophy for Buffon, although he's got another chance anyway. But obviously, the signing of Ronaldo's would definitely spark a lot of interest in doing this as maybe your first career mode, maybe your big club career mode could be Juventus with Ronaldo. See if you can get them to the Champions League final, and then one step further and win it. That's as simple as that can be. We're now going to go towards Germany, and we're going to look at Hamburg. Hamburg are a club that, since the Bundesliga was formed, over 50 years ago, I believe, they have been an ever-present in it ever since it started, and they're quite known for their stadium having a clock showing how long they've been in the Bundesliga. And sadly for Hamburg, their time in the top flight in Germany came to an end last season. They were relegated to the to Bundesliga 2, whatever you want to call it. And obviously the main aim is to try and get them up as soon as possible. Now their ground is in FIFA, as far as I'm aware, so from that point of view there's a bit more sort of realism, and you obviously want to get that clock ticking again, don't you? So you want to get them back into the Bundesliga as quickly as possible. That you got to think they're going to be one of the better teams in the second tier of German football. Them and Cologne, I believe, are the other ones that went down. And see if you can get them up as quickly as possible. We're now going to go to a similar one in Spain. Las Palmas got relegated. Now Las Palmas were kind of at one point I knew they were an alright team. I did a career mode with them on FIFA 17. I believe they sung Kevin Prince Boateng at some point as well. And when looking for sort of maybe shock relegations or shock underachieving, looking for teams for this career mode, Las Palmas are one that did stick out to me. I don't think they probably should have gone down for who they had and the team they have. So getting them back into the top tier of Spanish football would obviously be the priority, similar to Hamburg. Get them up as fast as possible and try and reclaim their spot in the top tier of Spanish football. Simple as that. Now we're gonna go across the pond, across the Atlantic, and we're gonna go to America. Now there's one particular team that I'm certainly interested in possibly doing an American career mode with, is the newly formed LAFC, Los Angeles FC. Now they're I'm pretty sure they're part owned by Will Ferrell. I don't think he owns the whole thing. And they're obviously a new team in the city of LA. And I think in real life they've actually started relatively well. I think they very nearly beat LA Galaxy, who are probably the top dogs in America still. If it wasn't for Ibrahimovic, I believe, coming on and ruining their day. And basically, in their first season, or their first couple of seasons of existence, you want to try and topple the rivals. Galaxy, obviously, there's an LA derby now, and toppling them will probably be the priority. And I just think if you're going to do a career mode in America, maybe you haven't done one before, I think it always makes sense to start with a team that are new. I think it was FIFA 15 or FIFA 16 that introduced New York City FC and Orlando City, and I did one with New York and I enjoyed that. It was a similar sort of context. You've got Red Bull New York, who are quite a big team in America, trying to topple them as this new club in New York. And it's same with LA, and I think that would be an interesting career mode. Are there any big signings you can get? Who's going to be your Ibrahimovic? You know, there's a lot to look at. There's a lot to have a gander at. The fifth team we're going to look at is a team that were on FIFA 17. They're in the second tier of German football. They're in Bundesliga 2. They got relegated, but obviously all three tiers of the third tier of German football was getting added. So where did they go for FIFA 18? And that is obviously 1860 Munich. Now, on FIFA 17, they were playing at the Allianz Arena. They were sharing the Allianz Arena with Bayern Munich, even though they were in the second tier of the Bundesliga, and they weren't particularly doing that well in the second tier of the Bundesliga, although their relegation was a shock. Now, they weren't on FIFA 18 simply because when they were relegated from the second tier of the Bundesliga, they failed to obtain a license for Free Liga, which is obviously the third tier, sorry. They failed to obtain a license, so they had to go in the fourth tier of German football. So they're now out the Allianz Arena. You couldn't have fourth tier football there, obviously. But they have got promoted in their first season back. Unsurprisingly, it was kind of surprising they went down from second tier. They kept a couple of players, I believe, from the second tier in the fourth division, and it's no shock that they did manage to get promoted, having played probably in an embarrassing feat for 1860 Munich fans, having played Bayern Munich's second team in a competitive game. But they're back in the third tier. Obviously, the aim once they're back in there is to get them back into the second tier and then go further back. They used to be in the Bundesliga, try and get them back in there and try and get them battling with Bayern Munich. Now, that used to always be quite a good little plot to have on FIFA anyway when they were in the second tier of German football. But now they're in the third tier and they've had to come back from the fourth. There's a little bit more gravity added to it, and I think personally 1860 Munich's possibly going to be one of the best career modes to do, in my opinion, especially for if you're English and you're looking for an overseas career mode. I think that one would be a perfect one. Maybe if you're looking for a road to glory and you want to change it up from League 1 or 2 in England, I think 1860 Munich is the perfect career mode to go with for that one. For the next team, I want to head to France, and this is a little bit more obscure. If you watched my English team one, I did want a few obscure ones, and this is a bit different. Toulouse, obviously, a fairly well-known team in France now. They're kind of, certainly nowadays, they're stalwarts of the top tier. They don't tend to get relegated, and they don't tend to do much. I know they got into the Champions League about 10 years ago. But they don't tend to be the big dogs, but they never seem to be involved in a relegation battle. And that was until last season, where they had a narrow escape. They finished 18th, which in France is a relegation playoff. That's to beat Ajaccio, I think they're pronounced. I don't know if that's right. Sorry if you're French. To stay up, and they did comfortably in the end. But the fact they were even involved in the relegation playoff is quite alarming. Now, you could also have Lille as well. Lille only finished 17th. Lille are a team you expect to be in the top half. But I went with Toulouse simply because it's more of a challenge to, like I said, they've been in the league for a long time. No, other than one or two little flirts with Europe, they haven't been able to establish themselves up there. Maybe the challenge here with Toulouse is to take them and establish them as a top dog in France, or one of the top dogs in France, and I think that'd be a nice little challenge for you. So that's my obscure one for this, Toulouse in France. For team number 7, I believe, we're going to go with a similar one, albeit this time back in Germany. And this is a slightly bigger one. The next pick is going to be Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg won the Bundesliga title back in 2009. And they're always a team you'd expect to be fighting for those European places, getting into Champions League, getting into Europa League at least. However, the last couple of years, not only this last season, but the season before, they were in the relegation playoff. And they had to play against the team that finished third in the second tier to keep their status in the top division. Now, if they managed to get relegated, this would have been the first team on the list, because for me, that would have been a wet dream of career mode. However, the fact that they have stayed up, but it's still a little bit of it's a weird one, because you look at them, and you can't help but think, how are they not doing well? How are they not doing well? How are they constantly getting into this playoff thing again? You look at their team, they've got Castells in goal, who's a pretty decent goalkeeper. They've got Ignacio Camacho in midfield. Jeffrey Brumer, Bazois, who's a decent Bayern career mode, we all know that. They've got Blaszczykowski, they shouldn't be anywhere near. They should not be anywhere near the bottom of the Bundesliga yet. They found themselves there yet again. And the thing is them maybe have a complete entire rebuild. Just sell a load of their players, screw it, and try and get them back to where they belong, because that is certainly not where they belong. For our 8th one, we're going to head back to Italy, and it's another one of a giant. It's another giant, but it's a bit more of a fallen giant. Now you can have either of these two, as far as I'm concerned, but both Milan teams, yet again, similar to FIFA 18, they're probably meant good career modes. Now, AC Milan spent a bloody ton of money at the start of last season, only to come 6th, and that's not brilliant. I know they sacked their manager quite early on. They brought in Gattuso, I think his name is. Bit of a crazy bastard. But that's not good enough for the money they've spent, and they're meant to be revitalised with these new owners. They've got to be trying to fight for the title, surely. Inter Milan, it's similar. They didn't spend as much. They were a little bit more low-key in terms of what they were doing in the transfer window last season, but they only came 5th. And I think either of those teams, they need to get back into the top of Italian football and the top of European football as well. They need to be in the Champions League. The fact they've been out of it for so long just feels wrong, in my opinion, anyway. So they would be a very good career mode to do in Italy if you don't fancy Juventus. Maybe that's a little bit too easy, but you still want, you know, a big team challenge. That would be a perfect one to do. The final team I'm going to suggest is not necessarily compared to the fact we did England in the last lot. It isn't too far away from England. We're going to Scotland and we're going to Rangers, which part of me hopes that both Ibrox and Celtic Park will be in the game. They should be in the game. The fact they're not is quite insulting. I know Scotland isn't the best league in terms of football, but they're two massive grounds. They're two well-known grounds, and they should both be in FIFA, frankly. FIFA should have grounds like them in it. To be honest, I'm a little bit worried they won't. I think PES might do it at some point, because PES have got the Scottish Premiership rights now as well. So that concerns me. But I'd like to hope that one day this ground will be in FIFA. Hopefully FIFA 19, but I wouldn't hold my breath. The reason I picked this is not necessarily a go-to league for many people, because it's fairly linear. It's 12 teams. You don't have relegation. You don't have promotion because you don't have the other tiers. And from that point of view, it can be quite boring. But for Rangers, obviously they've appointed Steven Gerrard in the summer. Their main aim is to get get past Celtic again, which is quite a difficult challenge in real life because Celtic are quite far ahead. But on FIFA, it's a little bit easier, and obviously that would be the aim. Try and get past Celtic. Try and have success in Europe as well. I know Rangers got to a Europa League, it was a UEFA Cup at the time, final back in 2008 in Manchester. Try and get them some European success as well, and see what you can do with them. Of course, if you are a little bit hesitant to do Scotland, you could always do the thing of adding both Rangers and Celtic into League 2, or if you can't be asked to go through League 2, Championship, Premier League. See how you do in that and see if you can displace them then. But for my final pick, Rangers are the team I'm going to go with. Anyway, that wraps up my list for teams to use from the rest of the world on FIFA 19 career mode. If you missed my list of the English teams, again, description, it'll be the top line. If you're new around here, be sure to check out my Sunderland career mode and my PSG career mode. I started that recently as well. See if you like them. And if you do, why not stick around and subscribe? I can't speak. I can't say the word subscribe, it's bad. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.